On today's show, we'll be breaking down the Toronto Maple Leafs Rookie Showcase Tournament, the roster, the schedule, where to watch, who to watch. That's all coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centered podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. What's happening, brother? We finally have made it. We've got semi-real hockey to be played this weekend with guys in Maple Leaf uniforms. It is the Rookie Showcase, but we get to see some of the young, exciting, up-and-coming talents on display this weekend in a Leafs uniform. How excited are you?
Man, we ready to do that hockey?
Ready to do that hockey, as they say. I am. I'm excited, man. I mean, the Rookie Showcase is always fun. I think it's a little less than usual, though. Like just 2 games, playing one game against Ottawa, then one game against Montreal. I thought usually they had 3 games, and usually they're Detroit or Columbus or St. Louis. One of those teams are usually involved. Apparently not this year. Just the 3 teams. So Toronto just taking on Montreal, and the Ottawa Senators. Tell you when those games are. So they're taking on Ottawa on Saturday, so tomorrow at 1:00, and then they're taking on Montreal Sunday at 3:00. And I would imagine it's the same as it is every year. You can stream the games on the Maple Leafs YouTube page. It's usually where you're typically able to find these prospect showdown games. And Todd Crocker's typically the play-by-play guy for these games. So should be a fun little weekend here, Dave.
It should be. I think last year's, I didn't really watch as much of last year's tournament. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be some junkies who are looking for some hockey. They can't wait to get on that. I'm sure the Discord is going to be there's going to be a few people in the Discord that are going to be fired up, ready to watch this one.
Well, it's a bit of I don't want to call it lackluster. That's not the right word to use, but typically there are some more NHL hopefuls, I suppose, on the roster. Like we've seen in previous years, guys like Matthew Nyes, guys like Nick Robertson played in this tournament for many years, even when he was already like an NHLer. Guys like Alex Steeves have really excelled at this tournament. So a lot of NHL hopefuls that have come through the prospect tournament here. But for the Maple Leafs this year, it's really all about Easton Cowan. Like it seems like Easton Cowan's the guy that everyone's going to be zeroing in on and looking for. I've got a Friday 5-pack that I'm going to unveil a little bit later on in the show of 5 players that I'll be watching that I'm excited for, that I think could be NHL hopefuls at some point, that I'm excited to watch. But really, I think the one guy that people are most anticipated to see is Easton Cowan, to see how much he's progressed over the summer, right? Apparently he's put on some weight. Apparently came in at $190, almost 6 feet tall now. So he's 5'11", 190 pounds. That's kind of what you wanted to see from Easton Cowan.
You do want to see that he's putting himself in a position now to focus on doing the things that are needed to do to go to the NHL, right? Yeah. Like we know that a lot of people have talked about not having the not having the size, right? He's not the biggest player. We're not expecting that at all, but we are expecting him to understand that, there's junior weight and there's training to be an NHL player and having the NHL weight. I think that's where I'm impressed that he's realizing that. And I think he understands now he's not in juniors anymore. He has to be able to take that next step and, show the coaching staff we can do. Like we're going to talk about the 5-pack, and I'm sure he maybe be included in that. probably.
He'll be at number 1, Dave. I'm not even going
Okay.
to
Yeah.
pretend like he's definitely at number 1 on the 5 players to watch for sure. Now, what you can really glean from a prospect tournament from a guy like Easton Cowan, like he's already dummied prospects throughout his tenure in the Ontario Hockey League. So he's played against a lot of these guys and the guys of this age group. So he is one of the better, under 20 players in the NHL or sorry, not in the NHL, I should say. So he should dominate. Like ultimately, we should see him dominate this tournament. But what that should do is give him confidence going into Leafs camp, which will start up, literally within a few days after returning home from the tournament. He'll have a couple of days, put the ice packs on, rest up, and get ready to go for Leafs training camp, where he'll vie for an actual roster spot. So at least this should give him some confidence. It should give him maybe a leg up too on some of the other guys who he'll be competing against, because he'll already be in quote game form, having a couple of quasi exhibition games already under his belt before he even get to the exhibition games in Leaf camp.
Yeah. And I think I'm just curious to see how many of those players we can see take the steps, right? Because when we're talking about prospects, we're not bringing up a lot of the guys as a lot of players that are going to be playing this tournament as like hopefuls to make this Leafs team out of camp. Like there's only what?
One guy realistically I think has a chance, and there's a couple other players that I think will be NHLers and not quite there yet. Why don't we take a break? Let's come back. Let's name the roster. So just so everyone knows exactly who will be taking part in this tournament in terms of the Maple Leafs prospects. And then, of course, I'll unveil my 5-pack of my 5 guys to watch this weekend. And pretty much answer that question. Who might be Maple Leaf hopefuls? Who do we need to know about heading into this tournament? So we'll do that next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
Today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does all the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And that's the big one right there. If you're somebody who doesn't want to take the time to have to create spreadsheets and try to organize everything, let Monarch do it for you. And it puts all your different accounts together. So if you want to see where you're spending on certain things, it can do it all for you, make it nice and easy. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL.
The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you, as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. The podcast is free and available wherever you get your podcast. And you can also find us on YouTube. We ask that if you enjoy what you're hearing today and want to stay locked into what's happening with the Maple Leafs all year long, make sure you're subscribed to the Locked On Leafs podcast. All right, let's break down the roster that will be participating in the 2025 prospect tournament for the Maple Leafs this year. Again, 2 games this weekend. They play the Ottawa Senators Saturday, 1 o'clock, the Montreal Canadiens Sunday at 3 o'clock, and you'll be able to stream both those games on the Maple Leafs YouTube page. We already know Easton Cowan is the big boy who will be participating in this year's tournament. You want to bring up the rest of the tournament roster here, so we could show everyone just kind of the graphic of everyone who's playing. There we go. There we go. All right, so here's what the Maple Leafs posted, what the group looks like. So in total, they've got 15 forwards, they've got 9 defensemen, and 2 goaltenders that will be taking part in this year's tournament. So I'm not going to sit here and say everybody's name, but a few of the highlights, I guess, would be Easton Cowan, Tyler Hopkins, Jacob Quillen. Braden Kressler has taken part and had some success over the last couple of years. Matthew Hilkar, Miroslav Halenka, who was a draft pick, both draft picks last couple of years. Ryan Tverberg, draft pick a few years back. At the forward position, some defensemen to take note of: Noah Chadwick, Ben Danford, the first round pick from last year, John Prokop, who was a college draft pick, college free agent this past year. Where there's some kind of excitement for what he could do for the Marlies. So first chance to see John Prokop. And then the goaltenders, Vyacheslav Peksa and Artur Akhtiamov, the 2 Russian tendies who make their way overseas here, and we'll get to see them firsthand at this prospect tournament. So that is here it is. If you're watching on YouTube, this is the full slate. You can read it right now. If not, we'll retweet this out on Twitter as well at Locked On Leafs, so that you guys can go and check it out if you're just listening to the podcast. But yeah, here's the group. Yeah, I think that there's some pretty good players that'll be taking part here. Some nice prospects. They should at least be competitive, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, there are some guys who have some AHL experience to their name. You get to see a lot of the newer draft picks too. Like, obviously, we're not going to see. You're not going to see the Leafs.
Luke Koblar.
Yeah, you're not going to see him this weekend. Unfortunately, he's. You're not going to see a lot of the too many of the European prospects because
the season's underway.
Yeah, he's kind of playing in games that actually matter right now.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yes, you won't see him. Yeah, you won't see like a Victor Johansson either, right? So, like those are some of the notable omissions, I would say, from if you're talking about like who's not going to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty solid group, especially the forwards. I feel like you list off a lot of guys, and I knew pretty much every single guy. I know some Leafs fans are probably like, who? But
yeah, there are some guys.
There are a few guys. Like, there are some guys I'm like, okay, was he actually a player? Did they just like find somebody off the street to come and play? But yeah, no. The Leafs also had tweeted out like where some of these players played last year.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a nice little, I think if you're looking on X, Steven Ellis, I think had it out there too. So if you need to see any of the stats from last year, they're out there as well.
Beautiful. I believe we had line rushes today as well. Good old Marky Masters on scene, on location to provide the first projected lines of the season. Like, it's technically, this is the first projected lineup tweet of the year for a Toronto Maple Leafs organization at the very least. So here's what we got. Looks like Easton Cowan will be on a line with Jacob Quillen and Boria Vallis. So he'll get a chance to play with Quillen and Vallis. Luke Hames with Kressler and Borbellini. Halenka with Ferrand and McHugh. And then Tyler Hopkins, this year's 3rd round pick, will center line with Kerwin and Sim. It looks like Noah Chadwick and Ben Danford are going to be a pairing for the Maple Leafs, the top pair here for the Maple Leafs at this tournament, which makes sense. They're the 2 best defensemen. I'd like to see what they could do together as well.
Yeah, that's obviously a pairing that catches a lot of eyes, just right off the hop there. And I think there's, those are your 2 top defensive prospects. Like, now William Villeneuve, I guess, no longer considered really a prospect. We're not showcasing William Villeneuve anymore as a prospect.
There's no Topi either.
There's no Topi Niemela, right? So Chadwick and Danford shoot up the prospect pipeline for this Leafs team.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm excited to see what they could do. I mean, Chadwick's been one of those guys who's kind of come up through the ranks. So for him to get an opportunity here is going to be nice. Again, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the players themselves. I got a Friday 5-pack of 5 guys I'm most excited to see this weekend. Keep an eye on this weekend. We'll get to that next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. It fits how I like to bet, whether it's on player props, building a same-game parlay, futures, live bets. They got it all. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little bit more energy to those Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with you as we are each and every weekday on the Locked On Leafs podcast, free and available wherever you get a podcast, also up on YouTube as well. So we got the Maple Leafs rookie showdown, little rookie showcase, rookie tournament, however you want to classify it. The rookie tournament takes place this weekend. Again, 2 games. They will be facing off against the Ottawa Senators Saturday, 1 o'clock, Montreal Canadiens on Sunday at 3 p.m. And then that will do it for the rookie, quote, tournament. Not much of a tournament when it's only 2 games. So I think that might be why they're classifying it more so as a showcase this year as opposed to a traditional tournament. But we've been talking about the players that will be taking part in the tournament, in the showcase. I've got a Friday 5-pack of 5 guys I'm most excited to see here. Would you like to hear it, Dave?
Let's hear it. Let's see it.
All right. Coming in at number 5, got Luke Haynes. Luke Haynes comes in at number 5, and he was someone that the Maple Leafs obviously liked a lot. They drafted him. They took him as a college free agent last year. So Luke Haynes is someone who I think has an opportunity to play some NHL games. I think he kind of takes the place of why am I blanking? Who's the guy who departed? Steves. He's kind of that Alex Steves replacement in a way for the Maple Leafs. So he's someone that you look at and you think, okay, there's probably going to be some sort of NHL, AHL future for him at the very least. So I'm curious to see what he can do in a Maple Leafs uniform here with the prospects. And he's a bit more on the older side for the rest of the guys. So yeah, Luke Haynes is number 5 on my list. Coming in at number 4, Tyler Hopkins. I've got Tyler Hopkins coming in at number 4. He was the Maple Leafs 3rd round pick this past season. And a lot of people thought that he may have been the best pick of the Maple Leafs that they made at the draft. Plays for the Kingston Frontenacs last season. He had 51 points in 67 games. Good two-way player for the Frontenacs. 6'1", 185 pounds at just 18 years old. So they're expecting him to grow into his body a little bit more. But he is someone who I'm excited to see what he can do. I did see he's projected to be on the 4th line. So I don't know if they're going to shake some things up. He'll end up with a little bit more responsibility at some point. But Tyler Hopkins, one of the Leafs, better prospects from this past draft. So excited to see what he can do for the very first time.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about him. I think, you look at the stats from, last year, 51 points in 67 games with Kingston. That's pretty solid. The playoffs, he only had 5 points in 11 games, but he's a guy that, if he can take steps, hopefully one of those, we talked so many times, this Leafs team has struggled to find guys outside of the first and second round to really have an impact, or even just look like they're going to be someone that can be a contributor down the road, right? And so,
yeah, for sure,
it was very interesting when they did take him, how many people were actually really happy with that pick, because generally, sometimes when you take guys 3rd round, you don't you say maybe he can be something. It was almost like right away. Like everyone's like really like this pick, solid
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah. Well, I think he
See,
was
like
projected to be almost like a late second round guy, and he ends up going late in the third round. So it was just a good value selection and someone that, again, like you mentioned, a lot of people project to be a future NHLer if things progress positively for Tyler Hopkins, and he'll get his first crack this weekend at the Rookie Showcase to show the team what he's got. Should mention though, by the way, that it is not Craig Berube who will be coaching
no,
at the
Gruden.
showcase. Yeah, it's gonna be John Gruden, the head coach of the Toronto Marlies, which makes sense because most of these guys, if not all of them, will be with the Marlies. So it's just getting a little early taste of John Gruden and how he wants to play, and John Gruden getting to know these guys as well. Hopkins won't be there. He will be obviously in the OHL with the Kingston Frontenacs, but some of these other players, including the next guy on my list, will be in the American Hockey League this year. Next on my list, Noah Chadwick. Noah Chadwick, and this guy's really become one of the bigger draft steals, I guess, of the Tree Living era to this point in terms of prospect status. He was a 2023 sixth round pick, 185th overall. And he's already become, a top 5 prospect here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Big body, left shot defenseman, 6'4", 210 pounds. And he's really improved upon his offense over the last 2 years. He wears the C for the Lethbridge Hurricanes in the WHL, or did last year, I guess, in his final season in the dub, but 53 points in 66 games, 13 goals, and 43 penalty minutes. So, he's a guy who plays a two-way game. He can really pass. He can let go of a bomb, and he can skate too. So this is a player who I'm really, really excited about to watch this upcoming weekend, because I think Noah Chadwick has a future with the Maple Leafs. He's one of the few guys who I do expect to see play NHL games at some point at this tournament. So Noah Chadwick comes in at number 3 for me.
Yeah, I've kind of been keeping my eye on Chatwick's development because I saw in his, I think the year after he got drafted, like he took a big step forward.
Yeah.
Right? Because he got drafted, you said 2023. The next season, 12 goals, 56 points in 66 games. Career year for him. Lethbridge, not a bad team. I would say that there's obviously better teams in the WHL, but
playoff team a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they were bounced in the first round, I think, each of the years leading up to, but last year they really did take a big step forward. I think they went at least 3, if I'm not mistaken, 3 rounds, 2 to 3 rounds. So like they've or actually no, 4. I think they went to the conference final that year, last year. Like he's really come to his own. There's some decent prospects that came from that team too. Like it's I do see where the path can be for him as a prospect, as an offensive defenseman. Like this is the thing. Like the Leafs don't have a guy that could bring that dynamic offensive ability from the blue line. Like Ben Danford, we know his thing. He's a defensive defenseman. He's not known. He projects correct me if I'm wrong, more like a Tris Tanev type player than he does like a more. Maybe I won't say Morgan Rat, but like a Morgan Riley type. I'm saying the Leafs don't really have that defenseman on the blue line. I'm hoping that Chadwick can sort of take his offensive game and bring it to the Marlies this year, because they really don't have that. And I think that's where he can really stand out.
No, I agree. And they have an opportunity to do that this year. And, being able to, have John Gruden be the coach there obviously gets his hands on him a little bit earlier than Marley's camp. So that's positive news for him and his development. Coming in at number 2 on the list of top 5 Maple Leaf prospects to watch at the showdown this weekend, I've got Ben Danford, the Maple Leafs first round pick from 2024. Defensive defenseman, but a guy who can really skate. He's another guy, big body, 6'2", 195 pounds. He is going to go back to the OHL again for one more season. He is property of the Oshawa Generals. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, he was given the captaincy to
Yep.
Oshawa last year. So he's, being given far more responsibilities on the ice and off the ice as a captain. You love to see that type of leadership from someone like that. But again, this is a guy where a lot of people, after he got drafted, he had his one goal in his draft year and still went in the first round. That doesn't happen too often. You've got to be pretty staunch defensively to only score one singular goal in your draft year and still get taken in the first round and end up as a plus 27. That's exactly what happened. It's what he did. He proved that he's a very good defender. He's very mobile. He can crush you, and he added a little bit offensive flair to his game a little later on in this draft year, and then 5x that goal total 1 year later. So last season, 5 goals out of the Oshawa Generals captain, Ben Danford. So he's someone who last year ended up getting injured before the prospect showdown, or he got injured like at the camp, I believe, ended up concussion. So didn't even get to play in any games. So we haven't seen Ben Danford play. So I'm excited to see what we got in this defensive prospect, the Maple Leafs' top defensive prospect that they have in the system.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, obviously, anybody who's watched him in the OHL knows what he can do defensively. I think a lot of these fans will finally like to see him in a blue and white uniform because they haven't been able to. But like, that was a good Oshawa Generals team last year, and he was the anchor of it as the captain, as the top defensive defenseman. And he did talk about how he wants to. Main reason why he's keeping his sights on juniors is there's still areas of his game that needs to grow a bit more, and really the best place to do that is at the at the junior level in the OHL. You don't really, yes, in the AHL you can develop a bit, but it's more so getting yourself ready for the pro game than it is to develop and work on sort of some tools of your game. And I think that's where I think Ben Danford realizes he wants go back to junior, work on it, not be having to figure out that transition from junior to pro hockey when your game isn't fully rounded out just yet.
Right. So it makes total sense for him to go back, and I mean, unless he absolutely wows in camp, I think it'd be a little difficult to win a job with the Leafs roster that they have currently. I think you're looking at it; it'd be tough for him to make the roster out of camp, which would send him to junior leagues most likely. But it takes defensemen a little longer to develop. So if this kid needs another year or two, I don't think that's a problem, especially defensive defensemen. Like, they've got to weed out the warts of their game. They can't rely on offense to keep them in the lineup. It's got to purely be, hey, you got to be a shutdown guy. It's potentially could happen sooner rather than later, but usually it's a little longer before we see that happen. All right, so that brings me to number 1 on my list. No surprise, Easton Cowan. And he's the top prospect of the Maple Leafs. A lot of people excited what he's done in London over the last few years, winning himself Memorial Cup, OHL MVP, OHL playoff MVP. Like, this guy's done absolutely everything you could possibly imagine in the Ontario Hockey League. Well, now he goes to the pros, and whether he makes the Maple Leafs or he ends up with the Marlies early on, I think a lot of people are excited that he's going to be playing hockey in the city of Toronto regardless this year. You can buy tickets and go watch it, whether it's with the Marlies or with the Buds. And I'm always excited to see a top prospect of this team perform in a tournament like this. So Easton Cowan, he's the best prospect the Maple Leafs have, and definitely the top prospect that I'll be watching at this tournament.
Yeah, and look, I remember some people just like his regular season was a little lackluster in comparison to what we've seen years past, right? 29 goals, 69 points. Think he had that streak that pretty much consumed a lot of the season as well. Then you look at the playoff numbers: 13 goals, 39 points, and 17 playoff games.
Oh, is that good? Is that okay? I think
that
seems good.
seems pretty good. I
Yeah.
think those concerns were unwarranted in a lot of ways.
So would you consider Easton Cowan a playoff performer, Dave?
Well, you see, he does have some hardware, and he did actually win a title, not one, but 2 titles with the London Knights last year.
He did, 2-time OHL champion, also won the Memorial Cup this year, and won MVP last year and playoff MVP as well this season. Did he end up making first? Yep, made first team All CHL. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Definitely pretty good. So I'm excited to watch him this weekend, obviously, to see how much he's progressed over the last year, I suppose, and over summer with him putting on that weight. Now came to camp apparently weighing in at 190 pounds. So you like to see that. You absolutely like to see that from Easton.
A lot of work on the farm. A lot of work on the farm.
That's right. A lot of work on the
What
farm
did
for
Brewer
Cowan.
call him again? Cowboy?
Yeah, I
It's
think
his
so.
nickname.
Cowboy. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
Cowboy. Cowboy Cowan. The
I love it.
cowboy from the farm.
He's got that. That's the thing, people. It's not just strength. That's farm strength. That's
Farm boy strength. It's
Oh, yeah.
different. Hits different. Built different. Easton Cowan built different. So yeah, I'm excited, man. It's always a fun tournament. You know, I'm a prospect guy. I'm a draft guy, so I always enjoy kind of taking a peek at what these guys are up to. So just to refresh you on my list, I've got Easton Cowan at number 1, Ben Danford at number 2, Noah Chadwick at number 3, Tyler Hopkins at number 4, and Luke Hames at number 5. There's a bunch of other players I'm excited about. Halinka, I'm excited to watch Miroslav Halinka. Matthew Hilkar is someone who made some noise at the rookie camp, development camp. See what he can do at this tournament. Jacob Quillen, Ryan Tverberg, Borja Vallis, who has the left wing spot up on a top line right now with Cowan and Quillen. Let's see what Borja Vallis can do. Kind of an interesting name out there. And Owen Conrad is a guy who I think is getting some love as well. So Owen Conrad, another player who I saw, Leafs social media is kind of, they made a couple videos about him. So he's someone too who's on my radar. And then both goalies actually have a very good chance to potentially start NHL games at some point. They've had very good numbers in Russia over the last few years, made their way over to North America last year. So they've got a couple good goalies in tow as well that should give them a chance to win both games. Again, that's the Montreal Canadiens, Sunday, 3 p.m. And then before that, they've got the Ottawa Senators, 1 o'clock on Saturday. And yeah, you could watch it all on the Maple Leafs YouTube page, where I believe they'll be streaming the games. Should be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about on Monday when we break these games down. I'm gonna be one of them. I'm gonna have to record because I am at a wedding on Saturday, but we'll definitely get to enjoy watching some hockey.
Morassutti taking it deep.
Going to the old mill, man. Old mill. It's gonna be classic.
Taking it deep though.
We'll see how it goes.
You should take it deep. Enjoy yourself and enjoy your weekend, my friend.
I will.
All right. That'll do it for us today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti, and follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. We'll be back with another episode for you guys on Monday to break down the rookie showcase tournament. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.